Good afternoon, traders. This is Tony D from easyMarkets in Sydney. We've had a relatively quiet resumption here of the US dollar selling overnight. Nothing really flashbang to the market. We did see a little bit of weak housing start data that did help the euro pop back above 132. I have seen the the pound lead the pack higher this time, as we have seen out of news out that May is attempting to persuade the French to play nice with a large contribution to the cost of securing the border there. And so there is some sentiment, especially given the news last week of some European countries wanting a softer Brexit, that we will get that deal or just a bit of traction moving forward in a more softer sense. The hard Brexit's a dangerous one. That's where you lose all the UK banking industry potentially to Europe and just broadly have lack of investment in UK. If you get that soft Brexit, that's really where the pound will go back to normal levels. 140 being the first stop, very close to that right now. 139 as we speak. Definitely can test 140 in the current momentum. That's a nothing move for this market at the moment, so you might be able to see that in the coming couple of sessions or even next week as we go into the Bank of England meeting. In terms of the euro pound, so the relationship between the euro pound and the euro is one of a little bit of who's the favoured son, and at the moment because of the Brexit news, and the lack of follow through in the euro after the break of the highs from last year, it's definitely the pound is outpacing. So euro pound is now at the really strong support down at 88. If we can break that, then overall, if you're looking at the daily here, you can see that downtrend is starting to develop, and below 87.50 you have daylight until we get down to the next support. So it is an important little level. What's happening here in the market right now, we'll see exactly if we can get some follow through selling. You haven't really seen too much euro weakness lately, but that being said, there is the ECB coming up next week, which will be a major catalyst for potential euro dollar moves. And in terms of the Aussie dollar, testing 80 cents, above 80 cents again today. Yesterday we tested and fell back. Today we are holding a little bit more steady above the figure. The big story sort of in the backdrop today is whether the US funding deal is going to get past a little kick the can down the road extension till mid-February. Now, so far as we have come into to this video, we've heard out news that the House has passed the funding extension, that Senate has delayed the vote until tomorrow, so we won't get confirmation on it till tomorrow. In terms of is it a really positive story for the US dollar if they get a funding extension? Not so much, but it is a very negative story if they don't. So it's a bit of a one-way risk in terms of the US dollar going into that. You might get small US dollar strength if I pass it tomorrow, but you really can get some heavy US dollar selling if it looks like Democrats and Trump are facing off more aggressively. It'll be a much more of a blame game as well about who calls this government shutdown if it does happen tomorrow. So the Senate is much closer. They need 60 votes to pass the funding measure, and remember the Republicans only have 51. So a few Democrats would have to help out. In terms of Bitcoin, very stable price action overnight after all the shenanigans earlier in the week where we did break below 10,000. We are seeing it stable above 10,000, actually stable above 11,000 for most of today. A little dip last night below 11,000 was brought back up. So you are looking at a much more constructive chart here for the Bitcoin. Still, we haven't got any resolutions yet from South Korea regarding are they banning it or not. They're supposed to be debated today, so that could be interesting in terms of sentiment towards it, how they go about banning it, and if it's a phased out banning, if it's just banning the unregulated aspects of it, is going to be quite important, because there hasn't been too many central banks around the world who have gone on, and governments around the world who have gone on to try and regulate Bitcoin just yet, and there could be a flow of governments trying to do that this year, especially as they see investors making and losing a lot of money trying to speculate on this emerging product. Alright guys, best of luck with your trades. Next week will be a lot more important in terms of data releases. But definitely keep an eye on the ticker today and the wires to see if there is that funding pass from the US session. That could be big news if it doesn't. Most times they do find a way to get the bill passed. It is a dramatic. The last time was 2013 that they didn't pass a government funding extension. So it is unlikely that today they won't find a way to get through it. But still, the brinkmanship into the meeting could cause a little bit of volatility in the markets. All right, we'll be back on Monday.